Welcome back. Continuing the news. More calls this evening for the government to review and make changes to the current legislation being used to manage the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, there have been concerns that what currently exists has little bite to deter people from breaching the disaster risk management laws. The government has been facing an uphill task getting some Jamaicans to comply with the COVID-19 protocols. From parties to funerals, large gatherings at beaches and other recreational areas, there's been wanton disregard for the measures put in place to prevent the spread of the virus. It has long been felt that the Disaster Risk Management Act and the Quarantine Act are not effective in the fight against the virus. Speaking on TVJ Smile Jamaica Tuesday, attorney at law Peter Champagny suggested that the government considers other models such as legislation used in the United Kingdom. He outlined some of the shortcomings in the Quarantine Act.
The Quarantine Act was passed in 1951, and it deals essentially with the control and management of persons on aircraft and ship. It doesn't really contemplate a local situation like a community-phase transmission that is now happening. So it is obvious, therefore, that in terms of that legislation, it needs to be revisited.
Additionally, he pointed out that the Disaster Risk Management Act does not address the issue of attire.
It is true that that legislation gives the Prime Minister wide powers in terms of effecting any measures necessary. But at the same time, in terms of the wording, it is somewhat ambiguous. And it is my view that we need to look at other models, such as in the United Kingdom, where I believe in March of this year, they passed a Coronavirus Act. In Japan, they are looking at similar legislation to deal effectively with the whole issue of the pandemic.
Recognizing the shortcomings in April this year, the Attorney General promised a review of the legislation. So how far is the process? We put the issue to Prime Minister Andrew Holness at a press briefing last week.
And we are currently doing that review. It is moving much slower than I would want, but it is a mandate now given to Minister Truck, supported by the AG, to have these reviews done, seeing that we are not likely to have a vaccine within under a year, and we now have to focus more on enforcement to encourage behavior change.